Hello, my name is Caleb Smith, coming to you from the Rocket Miner Archives with your update for April 5th, 2020. I'm sorry this is a lot later than usual. I wanted to join my family's effort to wish my mom an early happy birthday. Mom, if you're watching this and it happens to be April 6th where you're at, happy birthday. I love you very much. Starting with news for Cowboys and Cowgirl fans, the Mountain West Conference announced an updated plan for 2020 sports. The general gist is that they're looking to push back some things, give them more time to monitor ongoing developments with the COVID-19, continue ongoing preparations for safe reopening, and hopefully create the scenario where people can enjoy the, the sports, the games, the competition they love. Now, specifically, when it comes to football, women's soccer, women's volleyball, and men and women's cross country, competition will begin no earlier than the week ending September 26th. Now, if you've got your Cowboys football schedule handy, you'll know that that means the home game against Weber State University on September 5th and the away game at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette on September 12th won't be played as scheduled. It remains to be seen whether or not they'll be rescheduled, just X'd entirely. The Mountain West plan for football notes that the season will be comprised of 8 conference football games with an option for members to play 2 non-conference games if they choose to do so. Now we're still waiting to see if that would mean that the season would start with an away game at Ball State on September 26th in Indiana. As of this filming, the Mid-American Conference hasn't announced its format for 2020 football season. The Detroit News is reporting that the conference is considering a 10-game football season. That would break down to 9 conference games, 1 non-conference game. When it comes to the fall Olympic sports, such as women's soccer and women's tennis, women's soccer and women's volleyball, the champion will be determined by regular season play. And they're still working out the detail for men and women's cross country. When it comes to other fall sports, the competition of men and women's golf, men and women's tennis, swimming and diving, indoor track and field, softball and baseball, those are all canceled. This is not the news that we revel in reporting, but it's stressed in multiple places, both in this press release and other reporting and other stories I've seen, stressing that they want to put the health and well-being of people first. I mean, it's easy to focus on the students, the players, the support staff, coaches, and so many people who come together to put a game, whether it's those up in the booth, security, the cleaners, the concessions, all those people who make tailgating that much more entertaining. They're trying to put our communities first and foremost. In addition to, there are some very strict guidelines that are still coming down the pike, whether it's at sometimes at the state level, NCAA is coming out with additional requirements. Quoting Tom Berman, the University of Wyoming athletics director, our coaching and staffs and the student athletes here at Wyoming have done an admirable job staying safe and getting us to the point where we can move forward. But we must stay vigilant in the weeks ahead so that we can continue in a positive direction. A key element to preventing greater spread in Wyoming and on our campus will be to wear our face coverings when near others. I want to thank everyone who has worked to keep our student athletes and staff safe. Looking at the spread, the Wyoming Department of Health is reporting that overall, our state's lab confirmed cases are now at 2,424. In addition to 499 probable cases and 27 people who've died COVID-19 related deaths. These figures include 238 lab positive cases in Sweetwater County and 14 probable. Now, the Wyoming News Exchange kind of did a breakdown of the active cases, noting that the state's figures stayed at 575 active cases today. That's because The 39 new cases were also balanced out by 39 recoveries. Um, of the active cases, Fremont County has the most with 114, followed by Laramie County with 96 and Carbon County with 60. Go farther down the list, you get to 17 active cases in Sweetwater County. Broadening the scope, in the United States, we're up to 4,821,287 total cases, according to Johns Hopkins University. And the U.S. death toll is at 158,171 people, which is about 1,000 more than yesterday. Globally, we're up to 18,727,530 cases, with 706,041 people died overall. And recoveries includes 11,300,702 cases. And that includes, in the United States, 1,577,851 recoveries. Now, one story that's picking up attention today comes from the Casper Star Tribune, which is reporting that Wyoming's active rig count has fallen to 0 for only the second time in 136 years. Now, I've seen some debate over what's an active rig. Do you count whether they're still prepping it? Scrolling down, we're keeping an eye out for clarifications or whatnot, because I know that's something that's people feel strongly about. But the gist of the story by the Casper Star Tribune is that workers laid down Wyoming's last operating gas rig this week in Sweetwater County, which puts our overall number to 0. The state's rig count reached 0 previously on June 26th, according to Baker Hughes, which is an American industrial service company that's actively involved in oil field services. Take 2020 out of the mix, and you'd have to go all the way back to 1884 to reach a time when the state rig count was at 0. That was when Wyoming was still a territory. This is all according to Pete Obermueller, with the executive director of the Petroleum Association of Wyoming, saying, quote, "It is historic, but not in a great way. There are so many jobs attached to these rigs, and now people are painfully learning so much revenue is attached to. It's mind-boggling and hard to capture the impact." One estimate puts that one lost rig translates into 100 lost jobs, according to the Petroleum Association of Wyoming. And just in general, this is between the 1-2 punch of a decline in natural gas, or excuse me, a decline in gas prices, and other industry, and other energy industry figures, in addition to less demand as people hunkered down a couple months ago, didn't travel as much, thus didn't spend as much. While prices have kind of fallen back a little bit, oil's still low. And in a state where we rely heavily on oil, natural gas, and other energy resources, that's part of why the state's facing a $1.5 billion revenue decline. This is an opportunity for the community to step up, to see what we can do to support these people, whether it's trying to show them emotional support, giving them calls, seeing how they're doing, trying to cheer them up some, maybe helping them out just a little bit in other ways. Maybe you might send a casserole disc over to a family you know that's having some hard times, had a hard summer that followed a hard spring. Another option is going to be coming from the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Securities Act, or CARES Act. Governor Mark Gordon had one of his semi-regular updates on the coronavirus and what the state's doing in response. The state of Wyoming received about $1.25 billion in federal funding to help with this. And today the governor announced that $7.5 million has been earmarked to pay for higher education for the unemployed and underemployed. More specifically, that money is going to go towards scholarships for people between the ages of 25 to 64 who will be able to take classes at one of the state's community colleges or the University of Wyoming. Something that if you've been impacted by this is an opportunity for you to potentially go back to school, retrain, reposition, make the most of a situation that's not enjoyable but still creates opportunity. The governor's office notes that other allocations of CARES funding includes $26.5 million to help UW with its reopening plan, another $32.5 million for community colleges to reopen, $51.5 million to support K through 12 schools. That includes $42.5 million for technology to support distance learning, $7.3 million for personal protective equipment, and $1.7 million to bolster food security programs. Like I said, of that roughly $1.25 billion from Congress, Governor Gordon has allocated approximately $710 million. It's not going to be enough for our needs, but it's a starting point. And as I referenced earlier, this is a big opportunity for the community to do what we can to show our support and show our kindness. This is Caleb Smith with the Rocket Miner newspaper, wishing you a good day, a safe tomorrow, and if you're my mom or anybody else who has April 6th as their birthday, a happy birthday.